Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nickel City Mafia channel, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. My name is Mike Thornton, and today I want to have a little fun. I want to kind of try to predict the Bills' 2021 season. And so we're going to go through this quick and try to have fun with this. I would love to get your comments as well, see if you think I'm crazy or not. There are a couple that I really had a hard time choosing, and I might even change my mind as we go through them again. Before I get started, though, I want to talk to you about a cool thing that really happened to me today. So, and it just goes to show, you just never know who you're going to meet. So I go to my son's flag football game today. We're in Southern California. By the way, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, for those that don't know this, but I am out here in California right now. Big Bills fan, as you can see. But I go to my son's flag football game, and super hot out here. I mean, my gosh, it's upper 90s. And my wife says, hey, check out the gentleman with the Bills gear. I'm like, awesome. I'm going to go introduce myself. So I walk up to this young gentleman, and I say, hey, I see you sporting the Bills colors. I was born and raised. I'm a big fan. I said, how are you connected to the Bills? You born back in Buffalo, or you have some ties there? He says to me, no, I'm an actual Bills player. I'm like, oh my God, I'm super excited. I'm like, are you serious? Now, I didn't recognize who he is, so I started feeling a little bad. I'm like, what's your name? He says, I'm Elijah Griffin. I'm like, I'm feeling even worse right now, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know who this gentleman's name is. How can I say I'm a huge Bills fan and I don't even know who Elijah Griffin is? Well, he saves me. He says, look, I was just drafted by the Bills. I'm sorry, he wasn't drafted by the Bills. He signed as an undrafted free agent right after the draft. So, very cool, super nice young guy. Give you a picture of here. He was so nice. He says, yeah, I'm from USC, cornerback. And my son came over. My son loves the Bills. Remember from a former stream that I had a few weeks ago. The Bills are number 2 on his list, right behind Lamar Jackson. But don't hold that against them. I'm working on him. We'll get the Bills to be that number 1 spot. Anyhow, I wish this young man all the luck. I know Buffalo's going to welcome him, and I just hope nothing but the best for him. But how cool is it? I mean, what are the odds of me just meeting a Bills player out in Southern California on a random introduction? So when you see those Bills Mafia or those folks sporting the beautiful Buffalo blue, walk up and say hi. You just never know who you're going to meet. So that was awesome. And that happened today. So let's get into this, and let's try to predict our 2021 upcoming season here. All right. So we opened with Pittsburgh. And if you watched my stream last week where I talk about the top AFC contenders, I'm going to reference a lot of my streams, folks. I would love for you to go watch a few of those. But if you watch that, you will know that Pittsburgh didn't even make my top 8 contender list. And while some of you might be shocked, I know Mike Tomlin, if he gets wind of this, actually Mike Tomlin did get wind of this and he gave me a call and says, Mike, are you crazy or something? No, I'm just kidding about Mike Tomlin getting wind of this. But Mike Tomlin teams are well coached. They're going to come out and play hard, and they're going to compete. And I didn't have them making my top 8. And I have valid reasons, I believe. I know some Pittsburgh fans will just think I'm nuts. But the reasons were for this. Look, they have the hardest schedule in the league, in the entire league. Take a look at their schedule. Look at their first 6 games. 3 out of the top 6 teams were contenders from last year. Look at who they finished in the last 6. Gonna be super hard. They're in a difficult division already with the Ravens and Cleveland. And then they kind of fell off towards the end of the season, really struggled, got beat up pretty bad by Cleveland in the playoffs. So that was one of the reasons. But again, their schedule has nothing to do with the opening day, right, here in Buffalo. So another reason was an aging Roethlisberger. Guys, he's getting old. Let's face it. He's towards the end of his career. His arm was shot at least last year. So unless he finds the fountain of youth, I'm just not seeing it. Also, his longtime center, Maurkice Pouncey, retired. The guy who was the centerpiece of that offensive line. And they also lost a pretty good edge rusher, Bud Dupree, who moved on to the Titans. So anyhow, for all those reasons and for how they were playing towards the end of the season, I think the trend's going to continue down for them, unfortunately for them, but good for us. So I'm taking Buffalo in this one. Next game, Dolphins. Those sneaky Dolphins. Sneaky, I said. They were 10-6 last year. They're only going to be better this year. They always play us tough. All our teams, all the teams in the AFC East play each other tough. So Miami, let's talk about them a little bit. Last year was Fitzpatrick leading the team early on. Tua came in, got his chance, but Tua always had to keep looking over his shoulder because they'd always bring Fitzpatrick in out of the bullpen. I get it. They were contending. They thought that was their best chance. I didn't think it was a great move on their part. Let Tua get that experience. Let that first year be his to learn. But they kept pulling him out, and now he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. This is now his team. They helped him out by drafting Jalen Waddle, who was his teammate, right, for a couple of years. So how cool is that? He's got familiarity now with a receiver that he threw to in the past. Jalen Waddle, I'm hearing the likes of Tyreek Hill, superstar. I think that's going to, no doubt be the case. And so not only that, they picked up Will Fuller from the Texans, and Will Fuller still had one game to sit out for his 6-game suspension from last year. But that is the first game of the year, so he'll be available for this Buffalo game. And something I want to mention, remember folks, fans are back in the stadiums. Home field advantage is going to be big this year. It wasn't last year. It was pretty much you were seeing, no home field advantage other than having to travel to the location with nobody in the stadium. But that's not the case anymore. Also remember, we're going from 16 to 17 games this year. So keep that in mind. So anyhow, the Dolphins, not only did they get better on offense, which was pretty decent last year. They got a good running game. They got a good tight end, and so now they've added to that. On defense, they drafted probably the best edge rusher that was available, Jalen Phillips. He killed it in his pro day and jumped up the boards. So he was the number one taken edge rusher. They already had a good defense. It's only going to get better. So in this case, I think we're going to split this year, guys, and I'm going to have to go with Miami here. Yes, I know it's rough. 1-1 start. Don't like it myself, but I think it is what it is, and I think that's how it's going to play out. They are good. A lot of people are talking about, they have co-offensive coordinators. This whole thing, like, who's going to be playing the calls? Or making the calls. Well, to me, two heads are better than one. They'll have plenty of time to figure that out, and I believe they'll be ready come that game, before the season starts. So, sticking with Miami there. We'll get him back a little bit later when Miami comes to Buffalo. Washington. Wow, we have a familiar face there on the other side of the ball. Ryan Fitzpatrick, moving to his 8th team, I believe, 8th or 9th team. And we know Ryan's MO now, right? He goes to a team and he kills it the first year, gets this crazy extension, but then falls off the face of the earth the next couple seasons, if he even lasts more than 2 seasons. And he's typically gone after 2 years, 3 years tops from any of the teams he's been on in recent years. But again, he does get off to a very good start with new teams somehow, some way. So that's going to be a tough game. He's going to already upgrade their quarterback situation. Last year they had Smith, who couldn't throw the ball very far. I mean, I forget what his average pass per play was when he threw the ball. But Fitzpatrick, he's a gunslinger. He's going to be throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin. He's going to make him a better receiver. And they already have a good running game. And they added some players on defense. Now, this team had the 2nd overall defense last year. So they've got a great defense. So it's going to be a tough game. I'm worried with Fitz being, again, fitting that first year where he just kills it for a team. But we know him. We know him super well. I think that's going to work to our advantage. And I think this is going to be a very close game, hard fought game. But I think in the end, we'll get Fitzpatrick to make one of those late game errors that he's known for, right? He'll throw a pick late in the game. Buffalo wins the game here. So, tough game, but we're going to go Buffalo. Houston, Deshaun Watson situation, a mess. Don't even know if he'll play. They lost J.J. Watt as well. And, I mean, J.J. Watt, people. J.J. Watt. And Will Fuller. Now, Will Fuller, I'm not saying was... when Will Fuller plays, he brings good value. But he's had a lot of injury and suspension issues. But when he's on the field, he's super fast, good hands, and he adds value. And that's why the Dolphins are going to be super tough. I mean, they're getting that guy on their team. Anyhow, so with those two losses and really Deshaun Watson's situation, which is, like I said, a complete mess, this is an easy call. Buffalo all the way at home. Now we're getting into KC, Buffalo. Whew, man. This KC team has handled us, what I feel, pretty easily 3 times in the last 2 years. And I don't know if it's going to get any easier this year. They completely overhauled their offensive line. They got rid of their left tackles and right tackles who got destroyed in the Super Bowl. So they have a completely revamped offensive line. And that's only going to make... I mean, we know Mahomes can throw the ball without a great offensive line. What's it going to be like when he gets more time and he doesn't have to run for his life? I'm super worried about that. But anyhow, they still have all the skilled players on offense. Yeah, they lost Sammy Watkins, but he was third fiddle, fourth fiddle. They got some young guys who's going to fill that role just fine. So their offense is intact. It's been upgraded on offense. Their defense has always been middle of the road. I don't say middle of the road. It's above middle of the road. They've improved as well. So this one, unfortunately, folks, I'm going to give the KC. Next game. Whoa. This is the rematch from last year where we got whooped on national television by Tennessee. And here we are again on national television at Tennessee. Whew. This was a tough one for me. I went back and forth. The Titans have Derrick Henry. They run the ball extremely well, as you know. In my opinion, we have a very hard time stopping teams like this. Now, Tennessee let go two of their young stars that they brought through the system. They actually drafted them, brought them up through their system, and they let them go. And that was Jonnu Smith, who's now a tight end for New England, and Corey Davis, who we'll talk about in a little bit because he's on one of these other teams we play. Anyhow, they let those 2 youngsters go who are about 4 or 5 years into their career. They're budding stars. I think they're going to be future stars. They're gone. They bring in Julio Jones. I don't know if they knew that situation was going to happen. I mean, I have to think they did, because why do you let go 2 stars like that and without knowing that you have something big lined up? So they bring in Julio Jones, and oh my God, that receiving core now, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Tannehill's going to feed off that run. I mean, who do you focus on? Of course, if you're a defense, you're going to focus on that run, but it doesn't get any easier in the passing game. So they're going to be a tough team. Now, their defense was kind of where we were last year. They didn't put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and but they did the job, and they did enough because they could score a lot of points, that Tennessee Titan team. A lot of folks that saw my stream from last week saw where I placed the Titans, and they said, you know what, I don't even think the Titans should be in your top 7 or top 8. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'm going to stick with them. But in this game, I think the Bills coaching staff, they're going to review that game tape over and over and over again and come up with a good game plan this year. I think we go into Tennessee and we steal this one. Buffalo here. So this is the easy one. We talked about Miami and us splitting. Again, I'm giving the home field to the winner there. So we're in Buffalo. Buffalo takes that win. We're at 5-2, folks. Not too bad, right? We're looking pretty decent. Buffalo at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. The Jaguars, of course, with the number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be a star in this league soon. I mean, he's going to probably make an impact this year, of course. This is a 1-15 team. He can only go up, right? But the Jaguar fans have a lot to look forward to over the next few years, and he's gonna do great things for that team. Fortunately for us, and unfortunately for the Jaguars, it's still going to be a couple years. So we're going to take Buffalo here. Again, I think there could be a lot of points. This could be a fun game to watch, but Buffalo will pull away at the end. Buffalo and the Jets, again, interdivision, always play each other tough. The Jets were 2-14 last year. They drafted quarterback Zach Wilson. He was the second overall pick behind Trevor Lawrence. And yes, another good quarterback. I talked about Corey Davis from the Titans. They signed Corey Davis to help their wide receiving core. So again, they always play us tough. If you look back at last year's games, we didn't blow them out. I wouldn't say we blew them out. One of the games were super close. So, but again, I think this is a Zach Wilson having to kind of get used to things. We're still about halfway through the season here. He's going to be learning. I think the Bills take this game. Indy at Buffalo. Man, last year they could have beat us in the playoffs. That game went down to the wire. Many people thought they outplayed Buffalo. I'd have to agree. But when you lose a guy like Phillip Rivers and all that leadership, and you bring in Carson Wentz, and you're hoping that the magic's going to be rekindled when he reunites with Frank Reich, for that reason alone, I'm going to take Buffalo in this one. We're at home as well. But again, Indy, who has a great running game, don't get me wrong, they have some veteran receivers there. But the Carson Wentz experiment, to me, he's, yes, Frank Reich and him in Philly early on in his career, things were great. Not so good the last few years. I'm not buying that it's going to change. And again, even if it did change, I'm taking Buffalo all the way in this game at home. Buffalo, New Orleans. Whew, boy, another good team, right? New Orleans was 12-4 last year. I don't know if many of you remember that. With Drew Brees leaving, that kind of took the focus off New Orleans, and them losing to Brady last year. Drew's a huge loss to that team. Yes, they still have all those great skill players with Kamara, Michael Thomas, but who's going to quarterback? Taysom Hill or Winston? I think it's going to be Winston because they can use Hill in other positions. Hill can play quarterback. Hill can play a running back. Hill can play tight end. Hill can play receiver. They can use that guy all over the place. So I think it'll be Winston. But whether it's Winston or Hill, I think losing Breeze is enough of a reason to give us the edge in this game. I think we go into New Orleans and we steal this one. This was a game I went back and forth on, folks. I've changed my mind 3 or 4 times. Let me know what you think. New England and Buffalo. So the first time we've seen New England this year. Crazy, huh? We're getting towards the later part of the schedule, and it's the first time we're seeing New England, who many think are going to have one of the best defenses in the league, especially if Stephen Gilmore comes back. I think Stephen Gilmore will work it out with the club, and he'll probably be back before the opening day. But regardless of Stephen Gilmore, their defense is solid. Defensive line, some great linebackers. Cornerbacks are good. They're New England. They always play us tough. We had the edge last year, of course, but they've gotten better. They've gotten, I think, a lot better. They signed, who I talked about earlier from the Titans, they signed Jonnu Smith, a tight end. Kid's a stud. He's young, fast, and great receiving hands. He's going to do wonders for that team. They've also signed the Hunter Henry, another tight end from the Chargers. Also very skilled tight end, great hands, decent speed, did super well. I'm sure the Chargers were sad to see him go. So now they got this 2 tight end set, kind of reminiscent of the Gronk, Aaron Hernandez days, if you can remember those days. So I think obviously they're going to focus on the run. They're going to be a running team. Cam's going to get the start. They drafted Mac Jones. They drafted him in the first round. He was the 15th pick overall from Alabama. I think we're going to see Mac Jones. By the time this game comes up, I'm thinking Mac Jones is a starter. which scares me a little bit because with Cam, I'm saying this is an easy pick. This is Buffalo all the way. And because we are home, I'm going to still say it's an easy pick, this one. But I'll talk to you a little bit when we go to New England. So with all that said, and they also have some journeyman receivers. So you know what they're going to do. They're going to focus on the run. They'll throw when they have to. That run will open up the passing lanes, and they're going to rely on that defense, which, based on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from the experts, is going to be a very good defensive team. However, in this game, here at home, we're going with Buffalo, of course. Buffalo at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, oh my gosh, did they destroy Kansas City. A very good Kansas City team. Now, we know Mahomes was injured. He was banged up. That offensive line it finally ran out of all the luck it could. I mean, Mahomes could not do anything more. He was already banged up, running for his life that whole game. I'll tell you what, though, he made a few amazing throws while he's horizontal with the playing field, making these throws, and if a couple receivers made a catch, there was one right in the end zone, hit the guy in the helmet, they're in that game. Who knows? That maybe changes the tone of that game. Anyhow, Tampa Bay's gotten better. They're, with Brady, they got a lot of young talent around Brady. Defensively and on the offense side of things, too much here. Sorry to say, I'd love for us to be able to beat Brady here, but not this time in Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa here. Carolina at Buffalo. There's not too much to talk about here. They're 5-11, so I'm going to get past this one real quick. This is an easy one for Buffalo. All right, here we go. 4 weeks, two times in 4 weeks, we meet New England again. This time it's in New England. And unfortunately, this time I think they get the better of us in a close game. So I'm going to take New England here. So we're looking at 11-4, folks. Still not too bad. We finished 13-3 last year. Remember, we're playing 17 games this year. We move on to Atlanta. Falcons were 4-12. No more Julio Jones. Enough said. Buffalo takes this one easily. We finish up the season with the Jets. Don't mind this number 19 down here. I guess this is kind of how this... by the way, I'm using this tool from playoffpredictors.com. Take a look at it. I guess they try to predict who that playoff game would be. Anyhow, we're talking about Week 18 here. Jets at the Buffalo Bills, finishing up the season. Probably going to be an important game, and for us at least. And, of course, I'm going to say we're going to win. It's not going to be easy. This will probably be a close game. But, again, I think we sweep the Jets. But in our division, that's the only team I see us sweeping. We're going to split with the Dolphins. We're going to split with New England. We're still going to finish up 13-4. Something to be proud of. We were 13-3 last year. If we can get to 13-4, I will be super happy. I mean, let's talk about it. A couple of the games that were swing games for me. That Buffalo-Tennessee could go easily Tennessee. That could put us at 12-5, right? That's still pretty good. We're going to win the East. Last year, other than Kansas City, let's see. Who are the best records last year? Let me bring it up real quick. So last year, let's bring it up here. So we had the Titans at 11-5. Obviously, the Chiefs were 14-2. Titans were 11-5. Steelers were 12-4. Oh boy, another reason why Mike Tomlin's going to get wind of this and think I'm crazy. But anyhow, so 12-5, or I'm sorry, if we were 12-5, we still have a shot at the second seed overall. I think Casey's going to be the first seed, obviously. We still have a shot at the second seed. If we finish 13-4, I think we're in at the second seed. And it's going to be tough. There's some really good teams. Definitely watch my AFC Contender stream from a couple weeks ago. And let's see, the other swing game for me was that New Orleans game. Yeah, going into New Orleans, super loud crowd. Good team, very well coached, very good skilled players. They can run the ball if they want. They can throw the ball. Super dynamic. And again, it's really going to depend on the quarterback. So there's another one, a kind of a toss-up game for me, which was hard to choose. Anyhow, those are my picks at 13-4. to recap, I think it's going to be a super fun season. I plan on having live streams pre and post Bills games this year, so that'll be great. And again, I would love for you to, watch this. Let me know who you think I was correct on. Let me know where you think I was wrong. Maybe I'm just super crazy. I was trying to be as realistic as possible. Of course, I'm a Bills fan, but is it realistic for them to win all their games? No. So I'm trying to be as realistic as I can be. I still think 13-4 is a great game. A great season. Super great season. I mean, with all the talent that's in the AFC these days and teams coming up, upgrading from last year, it's going to be tough. These games are not walkovers. I mean, there's only a couple games that I see that are going to be easy for the Bills. Very easy. And there's only a few of those. Even though we didn't have a very highly ranked schedule, our schedule's, I think, was 23rd ranked overall, so it's not a super difficult schedule. But you look at those teams and you're like, what do you mean, Mike? None of these games are really walkovers, other than the Carolinas, the Atlanta, and Houston, right? Those are 3 gimmies. But everything else, super tough. So 13-4, let me know what you think. Next week, folks, we're going to be streaming. Man, this is going to be fun, too. We're going to be talking Sabres next week. State of affairs with our Buffalo Sabres. So join me for that. And then the following week, we're gonna recap the Sabres draft. So my dad's going to join me. This is going to be super fun for both of us. And we love our Sabres as well as we love our Bills. And check out my dad. He's also got a YouTube channel. He's called SoCal Saber. He does a lot of board game reviews. So super fun. Check it out. And for me, that's kind of it. This ran longer than I probably wanted to, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care now.